Hello, everybody. I haven't done a live stream in a very long time, so I'm not sure if anyone's gonna be on here. Oh, yay, I got one person on here. Hello, one person. Let me see if I can see the chat. Hello, long time no see. Oh, Squeal. Hi, Squeal. You're the only person. I haven't been on here in a long time. Maybe I should have titled it something different. Maybe I should have wrote, I miss you all or something. Maybe I should have wrote it that way. How am I? I'm hanging in there. How are you? I've been going I've been going through some stuff, but all you can do is try to be strong. Um it's been really hard. It's so we can talk about why I personally feel like I don't want her to be president. Um so here's the thing. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I lost a lot of weight. Here's the thing. I'm working a job now where, and I'm hoping to God this would be the last job that I work at, where their philosophy is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because you just asked me how I'm doing, and I'm not doing well, and that's because a part of that. And so the first month or two, they kept poaching. They kept asking me what I am, where am I from, and I was like, oh, it could be French, part of my name, whatever. I just dodged the question because I I know a lot of times people just ask that question to see if you are one of them, as they call it. And a lot of people, they're so fixated on race, right? And so anyways, so the moment where your name sounds European or your name sounds French or whatever, and you just say something, or I'll just say this: if you say something that sounds conservative, or if you say something that's going to offend someone, but is literally on the grounds of not being offensive, they'll use that against you, right? And so nowadays, anything could be offensive. So because someone may think, for example, that I'm French, and let's say, for example, I tell a customer to get his attention because he doesn't understand, come here, or how can I help you? And I just say hola, for example, the coworker who's Hispanic can get offended by that. She can literally use that against me because now she knows that I'm French, and by saying hola, it can be literally on the spectrum of offensive to her because I'm not Spanish, and she can use that against me. And so I'm kind of going through that. Actually, I've been through that at the job I'm at now. And one of the reasons why, shifting back to Kamala Harris, and by the way, I'm not going to say her name correctly. I don't care. I know it's Kamala, but that's too much for me to say, and I really don't give a damn how you say her name. Um, One reason why I don't want her to be president is because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't agree with that at all. That's a form of racial bias. It's racism. It's prejudice. And honestly, had Martin Luther King been alive today, I don't even think he would have been for it because literally that is division, right? And the job I work at now, their whole philosophies under that, and literally every single supervisor, as opposed to one, the big boss, is black. And so a lot of times DI falls under the spectrum of African American, and that's it. Whereas diversity means diversity of looks as well as an outlook on things. And so that's reason number one that I don't want her to become president, because it's just going to up that even more. It's like we already have the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Literally 5 years from now, maybe less than 5 years from now, considering that there's 20 million, 20 plus million illegal immigrants here in the United States of America, the minority is the majority. So we don't need diversity, equity, inclusion. It's only going to bring us back. It's going to bring back in a reverse concept to where people who are minorities, who are going to be the majorities, are now going to have privilege, because they do. They have it now. They have black privilege. And by the way, this girl who's offensive, who got offended by Maola, is not even an actual American. She literally came to America 6 years ago. So she's not even a full citizen. And that's another thing. So when Trump says that immigrants are taking black jobs, that's wrong messaging. It's partly true, but what he should say is immigrants are taking American jobs. And so he's not really doing well with his messaging. And I've been saying this for several months, that he should have hired Tulsi Gabbard. And literally a month or so ago, it was in the media that he hired Tulsi Gabbard, because if you all recall in 2020, when Tulsi was running, in a presidential primary on the Democratic side, because she's a former Democrat, she literally destroyed Kamala Harris in a debate by literally Googling her criminal record towards black people and just how bad she was as a district attorney. And that literally ruined her campaign to the point where she had to drop out, you know. And so that's reason number one. I don't want her to be president, because we already have Civil Rights Act of 1964. Why do we keep upping it to affirmative action? Then we keep upping it to something else even stronger. That's taking us back. It's not moving us forward. So I wish that, I mean, again, it's like I'm not for her. I don't want her to win. I personally want Trump to win. But at the same time, I'm someone that can say, Trump is not the best speaker. He's not. He is not the most, educated, articulated speaker. And I can admit that. I can say that, because the debate showed that. It showed that, because literally, um, she was asked the first question: are we better here now than we were 4 years ago? She dodged it, and he could have used that against her. How are you going to dodge the first question? And so that whole debate was 3 against 1, by the way, because the moderators, or as I call them, activists, because that's what they are, they never questioned her. They never reiterated a question to her when she dodged it. But when Trump dodged a question or didn't answer the question, they literally reiterated the question, and they fact check. If you want to fact check people, your job is to fact check both politicians. Now, if you want to be biased as they were, then shut the fuck up, ask questions to the politicians, and let them fact check each other. And that's how a debate should be ran, since they don't want to be fair. Um, so he didn't do a good job, but I heard that there's an ABC whistleblower that came forward that said Kamala Harris was fed the questions. And I believe that, because many people don't know this, but the person who's running ABC now actually set up Kamala Harris and her now husband on their first date. So that's a huge conflict of interest, to be a part of a network where you have two journalists, moderator, activists, literally handling a debate where the person who's running ABC was responsible for setting up Kamala Harris and her now husband. That's a huge conflict of interest, and that literally negates the foundation of journalism, literally. So that's the DEI perspective. Is number one. I don't want her to be president. Number two, this is actually number one for me, but DEI is part of it. The number one for me is immigration. Immigration, illegal immigration. I am telling you, and I'm not even exaggerating. Every single person next door, on the outside, on the inside, they are illegal immigrants from a different country. They don't have papers at all. And they're filling up space, they're filling out houses to the point where Americans cannot rent an apartment. They can't even rent a house, to the point where I even had a customer that told me the other day, a black woman, she was like, I can't even rent a house for X amount of money because a landlord is going to know that an illegal immigrant lives in our state, and he's going to up that price by $300 because they don't have a legal discourse. They can't challenge that because they're here illegally. And so, yes, they are taking up space. They are. They're taking up space. They are here illegally. They're not here by the rules of the law. And from a conservative standpoint, part of being a conservative means you follow the law. And I'm all about following the law, right? So not only are they taking up space, they are also disgusting. They are literally disgusting. Party, leaving Corona bottles everywhere, music up to 3, 4 in the morning. And these are grown ass people. I'm not talking about 15-year-olds. I'm talking about men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and above. You know, and so a lot of my customer base that I'm dealing with now are illegal immigrants. Now, do they help the economy with the under the table money that they're getting? Sure. But there's a lot of cons than there are pros. And so I'm personally more radical on immigration than Trump is. I think he needs to push hard on it. My take on it is build a wall and I'll support it with my tax dollars. But not only that, I would literally put high voltage electricity around that wall because once you touch that wall, you're dead. And I'd pay for that electricity too. Put high voltage watts of electricity around the wall, around the barrier from Texas all the way to California, all the way to Florida. Hell, all the way the full 50 states of America. The whole thing up to Michigan. The whole thing up to like North Dakota, South Dakota, and let it meet together and put high voltage electricity because you have a lot of fentanyl that's coming from China to Mexico and it's killing a lot of American people. So this is not only a rule of law issue, it's also a war issue because this is war. You have drug cartels coming from that country, right? And it's killing kids who literally are selling drugs on Snapchat thinking that it's weed and it's killing them within less than a second, you know? And so a lot of times people are so focused on someone's rhetoric when they say they don't want immigrants here, they think of xenophobia or that person's prejudice. But what they don't realize is the amount of Americans are being killed because of the amount of immigrants we are letting in. Number one. Number two, those people that think that way have no political knowledge. They're not sophisticated. They're not educated. They just have these CNN talking points and they don't know what they're talking about. So it's not only from someone who's a nationalist from that perspective, or maybe someone who's prejudiced or racist. It's also from an economical safety perspective because at this moment, it's war. We have 20 plus million people here, and it's not just illegal immigrants. We're also having immigrants that are coming legally here from Sudan, from Morocco, from the Middle East, from Palestine, from everywhere here in America on a visa called a lottery diversity visa, where every single year the government generates several countries that have a low immigration rate, and these people file documentation to the government and they are waiting to be accepted. And so when you count the amount of illegal immigrants plus the legal immigrants that are coming here under that visa, that literally probably equals close to double 40 million. And these people are also coming to my job, and I can tell by the look of their skin color. I can tell, yeah, this person's from Morocco, this person's from Mauritania, or they're from Sudan. I have a coworker who's from Sudan. I have a coworker who's from one of those countries that came from a diversity visa a year ago, and her English, she can't even speak English, but she was a doctor in her country. You know, so we have a lot of people here who are coming here who cannot speak English at all whatsoever. And so I'm with Ann Coulter on this one, and I'm with Vivek Ramaswamy on this one. We need to cut immigration. No legal, no illegal. Excuse me. No legal, and then no, or illegal immigration for 3 to 4 years until we vet the system and up the criteria, because it's all about the quality of people that are coming here, not the quantity. We've been focusing on quantity because our system is so messed up. Literally, it's messed up. And so we need quality people to come here who already know how to speak English, who are coming here not only leveraging with the opportunity that America can provide them if they work hard, but also giving something to America, with them being educated, them being able to speak English, wanting to be a doctor, a lawyer, something, But I say we need to hold off on it for 4 years because I don't know if Trump does become president, how he's going to deport these people because that hasn't been answered yet. I mean, he can start by going to Lowe's and he can start by going to Home Depot. Just look in the grass. They're all out there sitting down waiting for jobs, you know. So, um, so yeah, so that's not my number one's immigration, and then my other situation is the mandates with the fake medicine that the government was telling me to take for the past like 5 years. That was fake. It was not real medicine. And so the government in America is not supposed to tell me what to do. I'm supposed to tell the government what to do, and you're not supposed to be in my business, right? And so that's another reason why I don't want Kamala to be president because I do recall when Joe Biden became president, I remember there was literally a whole article literally written on their website saying to the unvaccinated, prepare to die during the winter season, something like that. And that was full of bullshit propaganda, right? And so that's another reason why. And I know she's more left than Joe Biden, you know. So that's my second reason why. And then of course there's abortion. I don't agree with her stance. I'm pro-life. I don't agree with abortion at all. Um, you know, I don't I don't agree with more taxes. Of course, who wants to pay more taxes to the government? Um, I'm not for defunding the police. I know she kind of she kind of now is not for that. But I remember when she was on The View years ago when Meghan McCain asked her that, and Meghan McCain fucked up that question because she wasn't prepared. But Kamala Harris was explaining why she's for defunding the police. Um, she wasn't for fracking. Now she is. I don't believe her. I think she's not for fracking. I'm for fracking. I do believe that as a country, we need to drill our own oil and stop relying on other countries like Saudi Arabia to give us oil. You know, so less country involvement and more involvement here in our country. We don't need oil from other countries. We don't, you know. So I do firmly believe also foreign policy. I need to have confidence that a president is able to speak to the prime minister of Iran, to be able to speak to Putin, to be able to put these people in their place if they do some outrageous shit. And Kamala Harris just doesn't have that factor of being able to step up to the plate and tell Putin what's acceptable or what's not acceptable. You know, just foreign policy in general. I don't have confidence in her because she didn't do the one job that she was supposed to do, go to the fucking border, you know. So I don't have confidence in her foreign policy either, and I don't think she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't. And I do feel like she was fed questions during the debate because if you look at her interviews during the aftermath, and I looked at this reporter's face. This was like a local news reporter from an ABC affiliate. He literally asked her a question about, I forgot what the question was, maybe about the economy and what she's going to do. And she literally didn't answer the question and just gave a whole storyline of how she grew up, you know, who her parents was and stuff like that. And I looked at the reporter's face and I could just tell that he just was like, this bitch is not answering the question. You know, like he was annoyed. I could just look at his face and tell that he was annoyed. Um, so so yeah, I mean, I just I don't like her. I don't, and then I don't care about her personal life, you know. But since the Democratic Party wants to talk about Trump's personal life, I really don't care about someone's personal life. What I do care about is what you stand for, what your policies are. But we all know that I call her a default chick, which means everything that literally was presented to her in terms of job title was given to her under the foundation of either sleeping her way up to the top or again, this vice president thing. That was a default pick. Like she literally accused Joe Biden of being racist and, busing and his crime bill or whatever when she was running for president in 2020, and then he chose her. She was a default chick. And then the attorney general title in California, and just how she was able to climb the ranks in California was because she was dating a married man when she was 29, 30 years old. The man was 60, he was married, and he was a politician, Willie Brown in California. And so again, I don't care what your personal life is, but that does have some factor in the way you are able to understand things and do your job. Because if you didn't get the job under the essence of merit, then it's like I don't have faith in that person. So she didn't get that job under the basis of merit. She got the job literally from sleeping her way up to the top. So the way I look at her is the way I look at Jennifer Lopez. Same thing. It's like Jennifer Lopez slept her way up to the top, right? Kamala Harris in politics, same thing. So, so yeah, I don't have full faith. I don't. And so my pick was Vivek Ramaswamy. That's who I wanted to be president or even maybe vice president. So I'm not really feeling this JD Vance guy. To me, he's just boring, doesn't have a personality, and I'm not really sure about if what he says is really how he feels. I know back in the day, like 4 years ago, his thought process was a little bit different, but I'm not going to hold him to account because my thought process was different 4 or 5 years ago too. So people can evolve. I do believe in people evolving, but it's just with him, I just uh, he's the vice president, so it's like they're not really the person who's really supposed to be out there. But at the same time, I just wish Trump would have chosen someone a little bit more, um, just a little bit more charismatic, or someone that has a personality or something. But at the same time, I can't picture Trump picking someone who can out him, like who has a bigger personality or something. So he picked JD Vance, someone that's not really known. So yeah. So my thing is again the immigration, the DEI stuff, the fake vaccine mandates, um, you know, healthcare is another situation, but I'm not really entirely sure why Trump said he didn't have he has why he says he has a concept of a plan when literally I do recall reading his plan, when he was president, but it wasn't approved either in the Senate or in the House. I'm not sure. One of them did not approve it, but I was reading about it online and I saw a documentation of his plan. So I'm like, does he not remember that he had a plan 4 or 5 years ago when he was president? So because I remember reading about his plan, but it wasn't approved by one of the I don't know if it was the House or the Senate. I'm not sure. I don't recall. But yes. Anyways, so yeah. I mean, that's just how I feel about things. Um. So I mean, I just hope she doesn't win because I'm just tired. Like you guys just don't understand. Like I am so tired of this like division, and I can feel it at the job that I work, like that these people who aren't even citizens, who aren't even born here, like they weren't even born here, and they literally have more rights and more privilege than I do, you know, and so I'm just tired of it, and so these people think that they're entitled, and they're not. So yeah, um, but yeah, I mean, I don't want her to win, and I'm hoping she doesn't win. I'm praying to God she doesn't win. So, yeah. So I mean, I watched the whole debate, and honestly, I was just like, I was bored, but I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, why did Joe Biden? Why did he step down? Like, why? Because it would have been an easy win. It would have been an easy win, you know. And she's just fake. She literally reminds me of Nikki Haley, but on the left. It's like you just don't really know what to believe. And it's like I literally watched a video of her and Taraji P. Henson, and she told Taraji P. Henson, she's like, I'm out here in these streets. I'm like, you don't talk that way. You don't. You don't speak that way. Your mom is Indian. Your mother literally is Hindi. She raised you, not your Jamaican father. You know, your mother had full custody of you. You're in Canada for your kindergarten through 12th grade years, and then you went to Howard. It's like you can't tell me that you speak that way, especially when your mother's Indian and she raised you. Not, so it's like the fact that she literally has to go to Atlanta to campaign and have Megan Thee Stallion and say, if you have something to say it in my face. I'm like, you don't even speak that way. So it's like if I was a black person, I would be offended because it means that as a black person, I'm a pinata and you see black people as one way, and so you're supposed to speak as this one way as a whole to feel like I can vote for you, or to feel like the whole black population can vote for you. And to me, that's offensive. To me, that's racism. To me, that is being prejudiced. That's literally stereotyping, and that's what she's doing. And black people literally are so stupid that they don't see what the fuck that she's doing. Literally, I work with them at my job. They're like, "Oh, here's another thing. Haitian people don't eat cats and dogs." Yes, they do. I don't know why people think that's a new concept. I'm not saying all Haitian people do, but let me tell you this. I'm from Florida. I grew up around people who are Haitian, who speak Creole. Ashita la ale TV. I know some little Creole because I had friends and I grew up around people. A lot of them eat cats and dogs, just like people from Vietnam literally eat dog. That's not a new concept. That's actually not a lie. That's actually true, you know? And so the fact that, again, the mainstream media want to say that he's being prejudiced or xenophobic, that's not xenophobia. That is a factual statement. It's like people who are Arab, they eat goat, they eat camel. You know, People who are Haitian, they do eat cats and dogs. Vietnamese people eat dog. That's not a secret. And so people who are stupid and not educated, who aren't culturally educated, they don't know, you know, what the real 411 is. So, I mean, and of course, the government in Ohio is going to deny it. Of course, they're going to say that's not true. I mean, of course they're going to lie. You know, Literally one of my second, I would say one of my second best friend in Florida was Haitian. Literally, you know. So I'm not speaking about something I don't know. Now, do I know if he ate cats and dogs? No, but that was always a thing that I heard growing up. And it's not far fetched. It's not, and it's not even racist, xenophobic. So the black people in my job are talking about. In my mind, I'm like, they're so uneducated. In my mind, they actually believe Kamala. It's like, again, you know, unfortunately, a lot of when it comes to politics, African Americans, they're not really inept when it comes to that, and most of them, they vote Democrat, so they don't really know what they're talking about. But I'm like Jordan, just shut up, don't even say nothing. So they already think I'm a racist because I'm a conservative. Anyway, but but that's another thing. Um, so yes, they eat cats and dogs, and yes, immigrants are taking American jobs. Not just black jobs. When he said black jobs, I'm sure he meant diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what he meant by that. So I mean, but yeah. So so literally, when I ask someone at my job, and I know it's a waste of time, but if I'm like, so why don't you like Donald Trump? They're like, oh, because I don't. So it's like again, the moment someone throws the R word, the moment someone says the person's a racist, that's the moment you know that they have a low IQ. Now, if they're able to explain in an intellectual way, in a policy way, for example, as to why they don't like a particular politician, that's when they have educational value. But if they say, "Oh, he's a racist," okay, well, you're just stupid. Because the moment someone throws an insult to someone, as opposed to responding in an educational way or just stating an educational statement, that's when you know that person is educated and smart. But a lot of people who don't like Donald Trump are stupid. They can't provide me a policy reason as to why they don't like him. They literally can't. They're saying, "Oh, he's a racist." I'm like, okay, well, Joe Biden's a racist too. Like everybody, literally, racism literally is ingrained in the humanistic essence of this world, right? So leave that alone. There's crumbs of it now. It's gotten better. Now let's talk policy. Because if you want to throw racism, I'm like, well, okay, everyone has stereotypes. I certainly do. I have stereotypes. I certainly do. You know, we all do, whether you know it or not. We all have them. You know. So just like Bev Jones, she's a perfect example. Shut the hell up, she says. Perfect example. More than likely a black person. Perfectly, perfectly exhibits A. That's the example of what I'm talking about. An insult, as opposed to providing an educational statement so we can have respectful a respectful conversation, and we can try to enlighten one another. But again, they aren't educated enough to have that conversation, So, and a lot of people are just so quick to throw the R word. So when Ann Coulter literally said to Vivek Ramaswamy, she was like, you are very articulate. She's like, I guess I can say that because you're not black, but I would not vote for you because you're an Indian. And again, I expected people to call her racist. I'm like, well, no, that's not being racist. She's literally saying that she's not going to vote for him because he's an Indian. You know, if you look at history, other than Obama, who's actually, to me, he's not even an exception. But anyways, if you look at who our presidents were, they were all like Protestant, Anglo-Saxon. And so she comes from an Anglo-Saxon ancestry. And I can see her point as to why she won't vote for someone. And if that's how she feels, that's how she feels. You know, other countries, they do it. They have kings and they have queens and there's a lineage, right? And if someone says that, they're not racist. They just feel like a person of a particular look, of a particular ancestry tribe, of someone that comes from the realm of Europeans who literally made America to what America is today, they should have the foundational right to be president permanently. And if that's not how she explained it, but that's what she's saying, and I'm just saying it in a different way that she did, that's perfectly okay. And I get it. There's nuances to things, but people that want to hear nuances only want to hear it when it's under the essence of their narrative, as opposed to someone who thinks differently from them. So I understand her. I get it. I understand it. Now, when she went on News Nation and spoke to that guy, he's a legal analyst. I forgot his name. He worked for ABC. His father's like an attorney or a judge. I forgot his name. The guy, the guy that owns Mediaite and some other media website, and he's on News Nation. He's Andrew. He's Chris Cuomo's friend. I don't recall his name. But anyway, she went on. She went on his show on News Nation, and she said she changed her. She kind of she changed her perspective, and she said she would vote for his kids because they're third generation, but she would not vote second generation. And so when she said that, I was like, I actually felt that about Vivek Ramaswamy in the beginning. I really wasn't confident in him being president, and I said I would not vote for this man because he is second generation. He is second generation American, because a lot of second generation Americans are still closely tied to where their parents come from, right? And so his parents come from India, right? And so it's like you still have a close tie to your country. So as a second generation, a lot of them have this thought process that it's their country first, well, their parents' countries first, then before America, right? A perfect example would be a Governor Bobby Jindal. There were rumors that he was funding his country, India, and now he's second generation American. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like that. But my hesitation towards Vivek Ramaswamy was that I'm like, well, what's his allegiance to his parents' country? Because he should not have any allegiance. His only allegiance should be to America. And so as I got to know him more through interviews and everything, I'm like, you know what? I see him in a different light now. So I disagree with Ann Coulter on that perspective. But I respect her point of view because technically I'm second generation American, but I don't have close ties, nor do I want close ties to where my parents come from. I don't want that at all. I'm a full American patriot. I only believe in America first, in America last. I don't care what goes on in other countries. They don't care about me, so why the hell should I care about them? I just want what's best for America, and I always want America to be number one against all countries. And so while I disagree with Ann Coulter's statement, at the same time, it's like I respect it because that's her thoughts. And we are a point in time where people um, just want to throw the R word, because they're not educated or they don't want to have a little bit more of an open mind. So, so yeah. So I mean, I do firmly believe that Vivek Ramaswamy would have been a good president. I really do. and I do have that trust that his allegiance would have been to America, as opposed to like India or something. So and I respect him in a way because even when he was on the Breakfast Club, that stupid bitch. I don't even know her name. She's like a nobody. She's not even on there. Like, I don't even watch that show. But I just watched this video that was on there. She was really aggressive towards Vivek Ramaswamy. He was really calm, and I respect someone who has the patience, and he has patience. You know. Oh, another thing is a lot of people did not want to vote for him because he's not Christian. He's Hindi, and so that's probably and he stated this. That's one of the reasons why he didn't do well in Iowa. Not only that, because also Trump was running. And so for someone that is new to the game in politics, and for someone to get that far as he did in politics, that should tell you how much people loved him. He's really brand new. He got way more popularity than, I would argue, even now, than Pete Paternity Judge. That's what I call it. Pete Buttigieg. But I call him Pete Paternity Judge because he want to be on paternity leave after having a child, as if he has a uterus. But anyways, than Pete Paternity Judge. He's gotten way more popularity even today. Like, a lot of people know him. And so a lot of people in Iowa, again, I don't agree with it, but I can respect it. They want someone to be president that's Christian. Now, me personally, I don't care what your religion is. I care about your policy. What are you what are your values? What do you stand for? And a lot of people's values are Christianity. And again, I do understand that, but I disagree with it. I don't care what your religion is. And so the fact that he is Hindi and not Christian was a problem. And maybe, you have those crumbs of situations where people who feel a little taken back by someone's last name that's really foreign, like Ramaswamy, and kind of Chris Christie, old fat ass, kind of made a jab at his last name during debate. I'm like, Vivek, you better just tell that man, go sit down and have a Big Mac or something. Like, put me on that stage. If I'm telling you, if they put me on, I'd say anything. I'm like, boy, go sit down and have you some burgers. I'm just like, you got to be mean. You can't let people talk to you that way. And what he was saying to Vivek, saying that he sounds like Chat GPT and he's just another Obama 2.0 because he speaks so well. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, that's literally under the realms of you like stereotyping me or being a little slightly prejudiced. But can you just go to McDonald's and sit down and have a Happy Meal or have 5 Happy Meals because that's the only thing you're good at is eating? That's what I would have said on stage, you know? So, but yeah, I don't care about what your religion is. I don't care if you have a religion. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you have kids or not. I personally just want to know, what do you stand for? You know, that's it. Like, do your policies align with my policies? And that's all I look at. That's it. And if your policies align with mine, then, I want you to be president. If it doesn't, then I'm like, I hope you don't become president. So, and Vivek Ramaswamy, we literally agree on everything. Like, I did not find one disagreement from him. Um, you know, so I agree with him on literally everything. I don't agree with Trump on everything, but because he's not pro-life. I know he's not pro-life, but he kind of has to, tout to his base and not say that. But I know he's not pro-life, and he's okay for a transgender to use both bathrooms. I'm not. That defies the purpose of being transgender. You can't pick and choose when to wear your costume. Choose one restroom in a permanent fashion. Don't choose whenever you feel on a certain day that you're a girl or you're a boy. No, don't do that. So, and then the vaccines. You believe in vaccines? A lot of old people who are older, they a lot of older people, believe in sorry, somebody tried to call me. A lot of older people believe in like vaccinations, and I don't. I don't believe in them. After these 4 years, I don't believe in them anymore. So, he does. And he should have fired Dr. Fauci. But he said he couldn't, or he wouldn't, or I don't know what the case was, but he could have fired him. So I have disagreements with Trump, but at the same time, um, I like him because he speaks his mind and he's not a puppet. I, you know, I don't want someone that's a puppet. I need someone that's going to speak their mind and don't care what the cost is going to be after doing that. I want someone that is going to take on people from other countries that are trying to surpass America in terms of power. And to me, Trump can do that. Kamala Harris cannot. She cannot do that at all whatsoever. And so I don't have confidence in her with that. Of course, and then there's the pronoun stuff in school and stuff. But I don't think that's going to go away either. Whoever's president, but if Trump does become president, it's going to send a message to people outside of our country not to come here. Number one, you know. And number two, I personally feel that with him being president on a federal level, I don't have to worry about wars and I don't have to worry about a mandate that's going to affect me as an American. And I cannot have faith in someone like Kamala Harris to do that because she's going to be the opposite of that. And that's my perspective on that. And if you disagree, that's okay. That's fine. Just be okay with my point of view. And that's the issue with this country. It's like people cannot have a conversation without calling someone a name, calling someone another insult with these ad hominem attacks, and they just cannot be okay with someone else's different political perspective. And if that's how you feel, then you need to move to a country that's a communistic country or a country that believes in one thought process and one point of view. And if you don't have that point of view, you'll be killed. Go to those countries. In America, that's not the positioning of America. And this is why a lot of conservatives feel that this country is going or is becoming a communistic country because it is. We literally have people that don't like conservatives. This is why a lot of people who are conservatives, they're scared to talk about how they feel about things because they fear about being canceled. And to me, that's communism. You should be able to express your point of view no matter what, you know. And so that's the definition of communism. That's how it is in China. They cannot speak badly about President Xi. For 40 damn fucking years, you only could have one child. If you have a second child, it's going to come with a sacrifice and a cost. And so, what government can tell me how many kids I have? Would you be okay with that? If you're okay with that, move to China. You know? So, and it's so interesting that for 40 years, almost literally a half a century, that was the ruling. But China literally is the first or the second country that's highly populated. It kind of go tie and tie with India. They have 1.4 trillion people in China. In America, we have 365 million. We are literally 33% less of what, actually more than 33%. I would say a little bit higher than 30, maybe 40% less than what China has. And you know why? Because abortion. Abortion is one reason. Crime is another reason. And it's like for a country to have this policy for 40 years where they can only have one child, but they have 40% more of a population than we do as in America, that boggles my mind. That's crazy to me. You know, that's crazy. So, those are the reasons why I don't want her to be president. I'm just tired of the wokeness. I'm tired of the immigration. I was extremely tired of this vaccine stuff and being called a conspiracy theorist when in fact I was correct and those people were proven to be wrong, you know. And I lost a lot of opportunities because of that. And I'm tired of the media lying. And it took someone like a Donald Trump to take down traditional media to where now traditional media literally lost their market share and they cannot go back to where they were before. And so thank God we had someone that made this phrase famous, fake news. So that's another thing I want him to be president because I want him to destroy traditional media. And so I haven't really been hearing him say fake news or whatever in his debate, but I think he should have brought that up. I think that should have been one of his talking points to talk about how fake and divisive and how one-sided as opposed to being neutral the media is. And that's just the world we live in now where the big corporations across the board are left wing. We have CBS, NBC, MSNBC, ABC. Then you have your ESPNs and your Disney and all of that that's under ABC. I'm sure I'm missing some other stuff. I would even put News Nation down on the list, which is a new network. So these are these big companies, and then you just have Fox News, which is like the main network for like conservatives, and you have like Newsmax and OWN, but those outlets are not as big as like a Fox News or an ABC. So you have these big stations that are literally left wing, you know, and that's not only on a national level, it's also on a local level. Most people in local news are liberal. Most people who are called talent, people who are reporters, news anchors, and local news, they are liberal, literally. I can tell by looking at their stories. You don't have, they can't tell me what they are on camera, but all I need to know is look at their stories. If you're talking about the Voting Rights Act, if you're doing a story under that, if you're doing a story on LGBTQ or abortion or whatever, or if you're a particular skin color, more than likely, I'm like, okay, yeah, if you have a he slash him or she slash her in your bio, it's like, okay, I know that you're a liberal. Or you have this look, dyed hair, nose ring right here, the look. Y'all know the look. So most of them, it's like, you can tell. Like, I knew David Muir was a liberal. Like, I knew he's not conservative even before the debate. And I said before the debate, I'm not expecting those moderators to be fair. I'm not. I know Lindsay Davis. I know she's a Democrat. She's black. I know she's a Democrat. David Muir, I knew that too. I knew what he was. Like this man, he goes on Good Morning America, like, he hosts the show sometimes. Like, I knew he was a liberal. It was very obvious. So I did not expect those people to literally have a balanced debate. You know, I don't need David Muir. I don't need your thoughts on what you thought Trump said or what you felt Trump said on an audio. That's not your place to say as a journalist. You're not a journalist. That's not your place to say. I don't need you to ask a president about race and why Kamala Harris' race is an issue. You know, that's not that's not your place to ask that, because the way you formed that question was in a biased way. That's not your place to ask that question. It's also not your place to only reiterate questions or to only try to fact check Donald Trump, but you're not doing the same thing to Kamala Harris. So that debate was literally 3 against 1. It was 3 against 1, and it was not fair. So I'm hoping a lot of people saw that. Um, of course, people who are liberal, whatever, trying to see that, But in terms of who got their point across and who won, I hate to say this, but Kamala Harris got her point across. Um, although to me, she didn't really answer the questions, but she got her point across. But I do feel that she was fed those questions, just like Hillary Clinton was fed questions, just like Roland Martin allegedly fed Donna Brazile questions when he was a part of CNN, which is the reason allegedly why CNN fired his ass. So I know there's this conspiracy theory about Kamala Harris' earring and how a lot of people was calling it some earring that can hear, like kind of like an IFB that you put in your ear, so you can hear um, people like in the control room in the news and stuff. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't believe, but I do feel like she was fed questions. I do feel like she was prepared and she knew what the questions were. And again, the person who runs ABC literally set those two up on a date. They're married now, so it's not far fetched to say that there's a high probability that she was fed questions beforehand. So I mean, so yeah. Anyways, so I'm just looking at it from a smaller government perspective, you know. So that's where I look at it, a small government perspective. That's just all I want. I just want smaller government. I don't want a mandate all over. Um, I don't even care if I even disagree with minimum wage. I disagree with that too. So that's just the way I look at it. I don't look at it from a feeling perspective of racism, because that's just literally like calling someone an anti-Semite. That's literally words that are used that actually has historical validity to it, where now times are better and now the media is using those words that are triggering of the past to scare people to vote a certain way. And that's what the media does. They do it every fucking 4 years. Every 4 years they do it. Every 4 years. And people still fall for it. They still fall for it. You know, they still fall for it. So yeah. I even was watching this girl, like and I'm gonna say the race because race matters to you all. This black girl. She said 4 years ago, she bought a food truck for $25,000. She said she could not acquire a loan, and she did mention her skin color because she was like, because her black skin color. And she ended up having to get an additional job in order to fund and pay for her food truck. Now her food truck is paid for. And so 4 years later, today, she's selling her food truck. The person who's interested in buying her food truck, wait for it, is what? An illegal immigrant. This illegal immigrant is being funded by the government to buy her food truck. And so the girl literally called her bank and asked her rep at the bank, why was she not able to get a loan or some type of funding for a food truck, but someone who's not from this country or someone who's not a citizen of this country is able to obtain funds for a food truck just like that. And the person said, well, there are special circumstances where that can happen. So after she said that, she just started bawling. She was like, I want to know, Kamala Harris, why I had to get a second job to pay for my food truck, to pay $25,000 for my food truck, but yet someone who's not even a citizen of this country is able to get money from the bank to get my food truck. Literally, she was in tears saying that, you know? And I'm like, well, this is who you're voting for. Stop voting Democrat. If you vote Democrat, shit won't go that way, you know? So if you vote Democrat, shit won't be expensive. You know, if you vote conservative, if you vote Democrat, shit's gonna be expensive. If you vote conservative, it's not gonna be as expensive. My life 4 years ago, I can answer the question that Kamala Harris didn't answer. My life 4 years ago was better than what my life is now, financially speaking. Everything is highly expensive as a single person. Literally now, it costs, you know, 150 over $100 for a single person. I can't even only imagine how much it would cost for a family of 2 or 3 or 4 people, you know. And so when someone like a Whoopi Goldberg is blaming the grocery stores, I'm like, well, ma'am, that's not where the buck stops. The buck stops with agriculture. That's where the beginning happens. And a lot of these people who are farmers are usually treated horrifically with people who are running the government that are left wing all the time. And so, yes, they're going to have to up their prices. And yes, suppliers and distributors are going to have to up their prices while they're being sold to grocery stores who are also going to have to up their prices in order to make profit. These people are not trying to break even. They need to make profit for themselves. And that's the reason why their prices are high, because farmers are not being treated greatly with places that are ran under democratic ruling, you know, and that's the reason why. It's not the grocery stores that's the issue. If I have a business and I'm paying X amount of more money because all of a sudden, you know, farmers are not being treated greatly because of the government that they're under, it's like they have to make their money too, you know, they have to make their money. So, I mean, it's not, you can't just say grocery prices and blame the stores. And she's stupid. She's so out of touch with the amount of money that she makes. She's an elitist. I know she's stupid, but she also is like a multimillionaire. So she's not suffering. Taylor Swift is not suffering. These people who are multimillionaires, they don't know how it feels to suffer now. They're so out of touch, and it's been decades from when that they suffered that they forgot how it feels to suffer. They literally forgot, you know. So they haven't suffered in like 20 plus years, 30 maybe. So they don't know. They don't know. They probably don't even remember how it feels to literally work paycheck to paycheck, or literally, have to put stuff back on the shelf because they're worried about paying rent. They don't know how that feels anymore. So I don't need a Taylor Swift perspective or a Whoopi Goldberg's perspective. These people are out of touch. They don't understand the reality of what people are going through. So, I mean, I'm just tired. I'm just so tired of the propaganda. I'm really tired of the propaganda, like literally tired of it. And so I wish it would stop. That's all. And so that was literally the first question of the debate. And she was given the first question. Trump wasn't. She was, and then Trump had to answer his. She dodged it. And if he was sharp enough, he could have used that against her and destroyed her there. Literally, she fucked up. Not even 5 minutes into the show, and she fucked up. And I wish he would have used that, but he didn't. Had she did that and I'm on the fucking stage, oh yes. Like, she would have been done. And so had David Muir asked me that question about race, I'm like, well, yeah, I know who this woman is. I know the perspective and the culture that this woman comes from. She was not raised as a black woman. She was raised as an Indian woman. But she knows through historical context that these people who are not really involved or informed under the realms of independent thinking, they are programmed by the media, who are ran under one perspective. Most of them are going to fall under the trap of what she is doing in order to garner their vote. And so she has to make these faces like this when she did this. She knows what she's doing. She's literally placating to the black community. That's what they do when they want to listen to someone. She's doing these movements, these hands, these phrases, these sayings all the time with campaigning, inviting Megan Thee Stallion, all of these hood rats to perform that literally don't understand what politics is. And she's trying to literally get these people votes because they don't have the smarts. They don't know. And all they see, oh, I'm voting for her because she's black. I'm voting for her because she's a woman. They can't name one policy because she doesn't have a fucking policy. So she doesn't have a policy. And the shit that she say, I'm not for. $25,000 for a first time homeowner. We're paying for that. That's a lot of money for a lot of people who want to be first time homeowners. I disagree with that. I don't want that. Now, would that help me out? Could I get it? Yes, but I don't want it. I would rather pay for my own shit through hard work. I don't want government to pay for it. I want to pay for it. And so that's only going to make inflation go higher. 25 grand. Come on now. And I doubt she would even do that. You know, how many people that are coming up that want a home? They got people before my generation that still wants a home. Then they got millennials that still want a home. Then they got the Gen Zs. And then by this time, the people who are coming up before the Gen Zs, they're going to be 18, 19, 20. They're going to want their own house and everything. It's like, that's a lot of people. 25 grand, that's a lot of money if you times that by millions of people. And so to me, it's like Democrats just say funding for this, funding for that, and they don't think with their brains. They think right here with their heart, and they just don't understand economically how that's going to mess up our country. So it's like, and to me, she's just saying anything just to get people votes. That's all. Anyways, build a wall between Canada and the USA. Please do. All right. Well, I'm done ranting. I'm going to get off for the night. But I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.